In today's lesson, we are going to look at something that's called probability. Now, what probability is, it's the chance or likelihood that an event is to occur. So, for example, let's say that we have a die or a number cube. And on the die, we know that there are either dots or, in this case, numbers shown on each side. In the case of my number cube, I have the numbers 1 through 6. That is, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and last but not least, I have the number 6. Now, if I set up a probability, what I do is I take my total amount of numbers. In this case, there are 6 numbers on the cube. I put it in fraction form, and it becomes my denominator. Now, my numerator is going to be one of these numbers that we're going to call an event. An event can be one of the numbers, or I can put it into some kind of different category, like prime numbers, odd numbers, even numbers, multiples of 2. And whatever my event is will become the numerator in the fraction. So in this case, let's say we have just the number 2. What is the probability of rolling a 2? Well, there's only 1 2 on my cube, so what that means is I have a 1 in 6 chance of rolling a 2. And I can change this for different events. Let's say we want to change our event to even numbers. Well, let's go in and find all the even numbers. 2, 4, and 6. There are 3 of them, so this 1 will now become 3 over 6, which we know is 1/2. Now, whenever we have a fraction like this, we can turn them into decimals and percentages. We know that 1/2 changes to 0.5 if I want to write it as a decimal, or 50%. So basically, if I'm rolling this number cube or die, I have a 50% chance, 3 in 6 chance of rolling an even number. The second process we're going to look at today involves probability, and it's going to deal with guessing an outcome. So let's go back to our die or number cube, and we just learned a moment ago that there are 6 numbers, 6 possible outcomes. So we're going to set that up the bottom of this probability fraction. Now let's pick an event. Let's say that we are going to roll, or what are the chances of rolling, either a 2 or a 4. So there's 1 2 and 1 4, which means we have a 2 out of 6 chance of rolling one of those numbers. Well, I'm going to take this fraction first of all, and I'm going to simplify it. 2 will go into 2 1 time, and it'll go into 6 3 times. So we get 1/3. Now let's say I'm going to roll the die, let's say 200 times, and I want to find out, in rolling it 200 times, how many times will either the 2 or the 4 come up? Well, instead of actually having to roll it 200 times, we can actually use this formula to do that. What I do is I multiply it by the number of times I'm going to roll, 200, and then we'll use the letter n as a variable because we want to know how many times will a 2 or 4 come out if I roll it 200 times. And to solve this, we just do a little cross multiplication. 1 times 200, we know it's 200. 3 times n is equal to 3n. So to get the n by itself, we're going to do the opposite operation. So I divide by 3, which means I want to now divide this by 3. So we know that 200 divided by 3 is going to be 66.6. To make it easier on me, I can round this and say that n will be equal to 67. So what this means is, if I roll this die or number cube 200 times, it will either come up as a 2 or a 4 67 out of those 200 times. And that is how we predict a possible outcome. We set up this equation where we take our original probability fraction and we multiply it by the variable over the number of times that we are going to roll the die.